Okay, I'm gonna send the link to everyone in the thing in Discord. I can't.
Going in PC2.
I'm gonna put it in general so so everyone has it.
Fire spoilers.
Okay.
Yes, we are live, but your screen is currently blank. I assume that's because you tapped out.
Yeah, I know it's blank. I need the screen to go to the game. There we go. Is everything okay now?
Give me a second. Yes. We are now actually live. Apologies, everyone, for the technical difficulties with the stream.
And apologies for being late 44. Oh my god, 44 minutes!
Oh, yeah, that happened. Though, yeah, so essentially the lobby host for PC2 forgot there was a race. So we had to delay the lobby, and then we had technical difficulties with the stream, which explains a further delay. So I do apologise for that. It's not really our intention.
Yes, of course.
So you join us halfway through qualifying, which has already been quite eventful.
But hopefully,
you've missed most of the action.
But hopefully we can deliver for the missed times.
Here's hoping.
Yeah.
So we currently have 4 drivers who have retired from the session. We have Elliot Sorensen, who binned it in the S's. We have Camel in the Alpine, who binned it out the second Degner, which I don't think I've seen anyone bin it out the second Degner for a while, so that's quite impressive. And I'm not sure what happened with Lassie Rasmussen or Jamie Rona, but they both retired from the session as well. Perhaps Jamie put his time in on the mediums and was happy with it, and didn't want to start in softs, but chose to retire from the session.
Oh, we have a spin. I'm sorry for interrupting, but shots ahoy in Sector 1. He's going to the gravel track.
David Hoy in the Alfa Romeo seems to have lost it on Dunlop, which is a common corner this year for losing it. The reduction in rear downforce is really bit quite hard on fast-flowing corners like Dunlop.
It has. Usually when I drive on that corner, I get lots of oversteer, and then suddenly I spin out of the corner. So the drivers will have to be really careful with the first sector as a whole, because that's a really difficult part of the track in this year's game, especially because of the updated curbs. So every curb on this year game is probably going to be a autospin curb. So everyone will have to be really careful so they don't just spin all and die. So let's hope that that doesn't happen in the race. I don't think we said that we're racing in Japan.
No, we are here at Suzuka Circuit in the Mai Prefecture in Japan, which, I actually looked this up, was opened in 1962, so it's older than my mother. Which is impressive.
That actually is impressive. Okay.
So currently, as you can see on the standings, Luke Mills has the fastest lap with a 1:27.8, which is a full 6/10 clear of Mantos, who's just set as the second fastest time. But we do still have 3 drivers yet to set a time. Now, personally, my preference for Suzuka at the moment, I'm sort of erring on the side of not qualifying at all, because the race is going to be carnage.
Of course.
There are so many auto spin curbs around this track. It's just going to be nuts. There's going to be about 14 safety cars, and there's probably going to be about 6 finishers. Both the inside curbs at Spoon are auto spin. About 80% of the curbs in Sector 1 are auto spin. And it's just chaos. You get a tyre 6 inches inside of where you want it, and you're in a barrier. The walls are so close around Suzuka, it's so difficult to keep it on the black stuff once you're pushing for a lap.
So yeah, as Adam said, the the drivers are gonna have to be really careful if they wanna push, because every curb is an auto spin curb, and yeah, if they want to completely make the best of the track, they're gonna have to play it a bit safely than usual than on other tracks. But yeah, I guess if we didn't have a lot of carnage in the previous race in Bahrain, I hope that we don't have it right here. But Suzuka is pretty known for its turn 1 carnage, as the corner is made as a 180-degree turn, and it's a downhill as well. So they're gonna have to be pretty conservative into turn 1 to try not to crash into each other. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what the drivers are gonna think of that.
And of course it tightens all the way through, so going into the first part, which you can take flat quite easily, is fairly simple to do side by side. But once you get into sort of the second part of turn 1, or whether it's actually officially turn 2, I'm not sure, you can be side by side with someone and all of a sudden one of you's totally out of space. Especially considering the line of the corner just naturally drags you outside. So, do not be surprised if there is a lap 1 safety car here. We might see a replication of Senna and Prost, where they both just dived straight into the gravel at turn 1 and went, yep, that'll do, that's the World Championship. But I find that unlikely, but we could definitely see someone put in the barriers through the S's, turn 2 especially, if they try and go side by side.
I think if this race was the final race of the Ero season, I think that we might have seen the Senna and Prost incident, but maybe not. But there are surely gonna be a lot of crashes into T1. That's definitely going to happen.
It's just so easy to get it wrong around here.
Yeah,
like, it's the tiniest little thing and you get it wrong, and the barriers are so close. It's obviously not like Monaco, but it's similar in a way that if you get it wrong, that's probably your race done.
Probably.
Because you're probably gonna hit a wall at speed, because it's a very fast circuit. There's not a lot that you take in sort of 2nd, 3rd gear. It's mostly 4th and 5th gear corners. If you get it wrong, you're in a wall, and then suddenly you're missing a wheel.
And that was pretty accurate. One thing we forgot to mention, if you're wondering why the race is going to be streamed in my channel, we don't have the stream key for the Ero channel because the previous one isn't working, and Alex James actually bent it in the wall. He crashes into the S's and lost control. I think he touched the curb a bit too much, and that unsettled his car, and he crashed into the wall.
I've just gone on board with Luke Mills as he drives past it. Yeah, he's absolutely done. He's done what I've done about 55 times on time trial, and he's just tried to take that corner a little too tight, tapped the inside curb with his front left, and it's just skewered him into that wall. It's unfortunate, but the margins are so fine at Suzuka this year. It's something that we could see repeats of in the race.
While you're saying that, I'm sorry for interrupting, but we have another spin in the S's. It's Daryl in a McLaren.
Oh dear.
Also a pretty easy spot to spin, as if you're too slow and touch that curb, it's gonna really unsettle the car, and it's gonna cause you to spin, and you cannot save it. So I guess you just have to accept your fate if you touch that curb.
Pretty much. I mean, even if you take that at speed, depending on how much raw pace you sacrifice to stabilize the back end, if you choose not to sacrifice a whole lot, if you want the car quick but a little bit twitchy, if you touch that curb at speed, it's still going to do the same thing with you.
And as we were saying that, why don't we go on board with someone? Let's go with Mantos. Who's
Levi's spun it, but it managed to keep it out of the wall again in the S's.
And that was really impressive from him.
So that's ruined that set of tyres.
Probably. But at least he saved it, so he can do another run. Let's see, Mantos...
Currently peaked it, he won't have time for another run. Unless he's put enough fuel in the car and manages to get the temperatures down to do it again on these tyres.
Probably.
He won't have time to get in and change them.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. We have how many retirements is that?
That would be 7.
Seven. We have 7 retirements at the
Yeah.
moment.
Well, I
which is
mean,
not
the
good.
bright side for the drivers is if we have 7 retirements in the race, everyone that finishes gets points.
Yeah, but it will not be interesting for the stream. So I hope we can make it a bit more interesting than just crashes everywhere into the first sector. But yeah, as we are saying this, Mantos hasn't improved on his time. But we have our leader, Luke Mills, going on another lap, but he is slower by 4 tenths. So he's probably not improving, and he will have enough time to set another lap, but I don't think he will want to do that.
He'll have time to get around for another if he has the fuel in the car, yeah.
Yeah.
He's turned his ERS off at the moment, so he's either boxing, because he's not got the fuel in, or he's
He's going for it. He's going. Okay.
Mantos retires because he's happy with his lap.
He doesn't have enough time.
Get there.
But he is P1. Only if Tassos in the Ferrari can maybe pull away the P1. But getting 7 tenths off of that Sector 2 and Sector 3, I think it's going to be pretty difficult. As he spins and crashes into the wall! Oh, that's a pretty unusual.
Try and take too much speed through Spoon.
Yeah.
It is dangerous. You kind of have to do it, because you make a lot of time if you take the exit Spoon quickly, because it's the whole run down the back straight through 130 out all the way down to Casio. But if you get a little bit too aggressive, oh, that's a bad smash.
That was a really unfortunate crash from Tassos right there. He's gonna start P4, which is not bad, to be honest. But could be better.
David Hoyt is a tenth upon his time. He's just coming into Casio now.
Let's
he
see.
needs to find 3 tenths to move up the grid.
Let's see if he can improve.
2 tenths in the last turn.
He's touching the grass a little bit, but he only improved by 1 tenth. Yeah, that was pretty slow. He stays in P7 as Koi King goes into the pit lane to just refresh and take a deeper breath before the race.
I think that's everyone.
That is everyone. We're just waiting for Koi to get into his pit box. And yeah. So that was the qualifying session.
And Lassie binned it on his flyer, as did Camille. And I think Raphael chose not to settle that.
Probably. I don't know.
Which is not a terrible idea with the amount of safety cars to have that many fresh sets of softs to go into the race with.
Yes, of course.
You could start on the mediums, pit on like lap 2, and go like softs till the end, and just have crazy pace. And get all of your pit stops paid for by the safety car.
So, as we are watching right here, the qualifying grid for the race is going to start with Luke Mills in P1, which set a lap time of 127.8. And Levy follows him right behind in P2, 128.1. So, pretty close. We can expect to see some battles between those two drivers, so let's keep an eye on them. Then we have Mantos, Tassos, Michael, Amio, Shotsahoy, Elliot, Dragos, Koi King, Alex James, Flinger, Daryl, Lassie, Raphael, and Camille rounding out the grid for today's race in Japan. Are you expecting a lot of crashes, Adam, today?
Expecting carnage. from my practice in time trial, which has not been great. I'll admit it. I'll be the first one to say it. It's not been great. From my practice in time trial, it's like, it's gonna be. Oh my god!
Okay.
If we thought it was gonna be carnage before, it's raining, so this is gonna be worse. So now we get to see who sort of saw that it was gonna rain and compromised on their setups. Perhaps that's why Raphael didn't set a lap. Maybe he's gone for a full wet setup, didn't see the point in going out for a dry qualifying session with a full wet setup.
Maybe.
I mean, even in the dry here, people are running sort of 8-10 wings. So perhaps you set his to 11-11. So he was like, well, there's no point me going out because it's going to be a wet race. It's going to be chaos. It's going to be absolute nuts.
And maybe that's why the everyone was a bit slow in qualifying. I remember Levi setting a time trial run with 126.9, I think, and he was like a second and a half slower of that time. I mean, I know that in time trial the cars are a bit faster than usual, but still, that was a bit too slow. So you might be right. You might be right.
I think it's reasonable to say. I mean, you know, half a second, maybe 3/4 of a second is sort of a decent gap between time trial and qualifying, because you've got to hook it up in qualifying. You don't have 20, 30, 40 laps to find that little groove and to make those small adjustments. As we've had seemingly 2 impacts into turn 1 on the formation lap. So, which is why we currently have Daryl, Raphael, Camille, and Dragos all sat on the grid now, with their tyres stone cold. Although I suppose that kind of matters less in the wet. As the rest of the drivers now start to filter into 200R, trying to get heat into those intermediates, but not too much because you will burn them out quite quickly. We'll have to see if the rain abates a bit, or whether it gets even heavier and we start looking at full wets.
I mean, it doesn't look that wet at the moment, and the clouds are not as bad as they usually are, so I think the session may be drying somewhat at the end of the race, but that's a problem when we don't have the weather forecast, which is really stupid. I really don't know why Codemasters haven't added a weather forecast for the commentators or spectators, but I hope they add that in the next game so we can probably make a more interesting stream with our predictions. So yeah,
would be nice, but you know,
I mean, it would be
Codemasters. So what are you expecting?
Yeah.
After the, I mean, I suppose I can say this on straight. After the shitstorm that's kicked up over the last week or so.
Yeah.
As the drivers now form back up on the grid after the formation, hopefully they've got their tyres sorted out and they've got the heat in them. You can do a 2-stop on intermediates quite easily here. They wear like medium tyres, so 2-stop's not hard as the lights start to come on now.
And we have 5 red lights. And away we go. That was a pretty short start, and we have Luke Mills still leading, but he's on the grass right now. And Levy, oh, we have a crash in the back, but we see a Ferrari from Mio and Mantos. They were going side by side, but that went pretty well as Levy is leading and Mantos just right behind him. No damage between those two drivers, but we do have a safety car for the start of the race, as there was a crash in the beginning. We see Camille with a damaged front wing, Lazy Rasmussen with a damaged front wing as well, and our first crash of the race with Koi King in a Williams retired from the race. So
that is very unfortunate to have your race ended before turn 1.
Yeah, we already have a lot of carnage in this race.
I told you it'd be like this. As Lassie gets a time penalty for corner cutting, which I can only imagine is down to the front wing, because he's obviously not pushing under safety car conditions with the Delta time.
Probably, and
it's chaos. They were tiptoeing around turn 1 in the S section. They were tiptoeing so slowly, but still you get carnage because it's Suzuka. You always get something happen at Suzuka.
Of course.
There's so many moments through history that have been iconic, essentially. So you've had the Senna and Prost crash at Casio, the one at the first turn, literally the year later when Prost had moved to Ferrari. You had Alonso's GP2 engine outcry. There's always something that happens at Suzuka.
Of course. And I'm gonna say here, we have an update from our driver, Shots Ahoy. I don't know what his name is, but he said that it will dry out. It's David. Thank you, David. He said that it's going to dry out at the end of the race, so that will be really interesting to see what strategies every driver will pick. We don't know what lap the weather is going to dry out, so I think we're gonna have we're gonna have to wait and see for that.
Well, they're all on intermediates now, which can easily make sort of the midpoint of the race, maybe even sort of pushing around about lap 20. So they'll all be hoping that it dries out somewhere between sort of the midpoint of the race and lap sort of 20-ish, and then they can make a definitive choice of mediums or softs. The problem you've got is if it dries out somewhere around sort of lap 17, like specifically that cutoff, 10 laps on the softs is doable.
I think
they're very slow at the end. They wear quite quickly around here because there's a lot of sort of high speed changes of direction, which really puts heat into the softs, which really wears the rubber on them. But the mediums will be perfectly fine with 10 laps, they don't care. But the softs, but you'll be right in that crossover. If it dries like on lap 20, which is when you want to go onto dry tyres, softs are the obvious choice. If it dries earlier than that, around the midpoint of the race, mediums are the obvious choice. It's when you find that crossover, if that's where you want to go into dry tyres, that's where you're going to find problems, where you're going to find quite interesting strategies, I think. And obviously, if it dries really early, you're going to have drivers trying to go into hards. And trying to drive on hards on a damp track is a nightmare. It's like driving on ice.
It's not preferable. I'm gonna say that. But yeah, you've brought up really good points, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see until the rain dries out.
And hopefully for Luke at least, the pace he showed in qualifying he can use to get past both Ferraris and the AlphaTauri, at least in order to challenge Levi. They are, of course, second and third currently in the championship after Bahrain. Owen, who won at Bahrain, isn't racing today. I think he's got to work. As Dragos retires,
and we have a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. Alex James in the Williams, I think. That was really weird. He probably overtook someone and didn't let them pass. But yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see how the drivers cope in the wet, because I think all of us were expecting a wet weather race in Japan, because it's
with
really
7
common.
tiers in ERO, at least one of them was gonna rain.
It was,
and thankfully it's the one we're commentating on.
thankfully,
because this is gonna be action packed.
It will be, but maybe it won't be. It definitely will be carnage with everyone spinning, but I guess that depends with how much the drivers practiced in the wet. They probably practiced more in the dry, but the wet is a bit different than in previous games. It's a bit more realistic. You don't have a lot of grip like you had in F1 2020, so it's a lot more difficult to maintain control of the car in this year's game. So let's see how our drivers cope with the challenge, with the added challenge of the rain.
Yeah, consistency will be the main problem.
Of course.
It's easy to put in a good lap on like a wet time trial, but being able to do that lap after lap after lap is going to be really difficult. And with the whole field bunched up, we should see the safety car come in this lap.
Probably.
But the sort of anomaly, I guess, with Suzuka is obviously the safety car lights go out at the Sector 2 checkpoint, and that's so late in the lap. The only thing you've got to sort of back the pack up a bit and let the safety car get away is the tiny little straight between 130R and Casio, and then obviously the Casio corner itself. So it's going to be difficult to get that gap and also get a jump on your opposition. So we'll have to see if Levi can manage this well, or if Mantos is going to get that really good slipstream into turn 1. Because it's a difficult to overtake track, and turn 1 is definitely the best opportunity. You can get a slipstream out of Casio and down the whole main straight.
Yeah, but still,
safety car in this lap.
Of course. But still, the turn 1 is still pretty difficult, because if you want to go around the outside, it's not gonna work most of the time. If you want to go around the inside, you have a high chance of probably damaging your car, and maybe...
Levi's really backing them up here, and he puts the hammer down right as they get to the start line.
And he's still maintaining P1. Let's see if he messes up. If he doesn't have cold tires, he runs really wide. He runs really wide, and Mantos is going around the inside, and they're going side by side into the S's. But Mantos slows down, and Levy maintains P1. Let's see if there are any battles behind. Luke Mills is going really slowly, and Michael has caught up to him quite a bit, and he's right on his gearbox. But Luke Mills, I think, will maintain P5 at the moment.
I think Luke might not have checked the weather, which explains the pole by 3/10, and maybe he's running a full dry setup.
Maybe he is, but as we said, it should dry at the end of the race, so maybe our dry setup is good for this moment.
So, depending how early it dries, if Luke can drive defensively, perhaps, and keep his P5, he might get a chance to come back at the guys in front of him when it dries out, and he's got the right setup for it.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. We have Dragos and Raphael going really close with each other, and Dragos going on the grass a little bit, and he loses a bit of control and brakes really late for Spoon, and
Jamie gets down the inside of Spoon, down the inside of Lassie, but Lassie's fighting back down the back straight.
And they're going side by side. And Appflinger is not defending and not using an ERS, so I think he's pretty happy with where he's at right now. He has a... Oh, he's going around the inside and they touch a little bit. Elliot is around the outside on the grass as well. I wonder what happened there with Elliot. Maybe a touch with someone else. Probably his teammate. They were P8 and P7. Respectively.
Definitely contact to go out that wide at Casio.
Probably. And let's see. It's not that bad at the moment. I was expecting a bit more carnage, but everyone is taking it
Another
safely.
safety car.
Everyone is taking it safely, so that's nice to see from everyone. And only one
Everyone's
DNF.
just finding their rhythm at the moment.
Of course.
Levi's starting to pull out a decent lead in front. He's already a second in front. Obviously, there's no DRS in conditions like this, but it's still an important gap. Plus, there are some decent places to slipstream round Suzuka.
And Levy
and
also...
Mantos has pulled out a second and a half over the Ferraris.
So, Luke Mills will probably have trouble with getting to Mantos and Levy because he's gonna be held up by the two Ferraris, so this will probably not be good for his race. But after it dries out, let's see if maybe he can if he does have a dry setup, let's see if he can maybe get to the podium again.
Exactly, it could be a dry setup, and he could make a bold move on strategy and pit maybe a lap or two earlier for dry tires. Oh, we've got a Ferrari in the
we
wall
have a crash.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tassos. Apologies.
What happened there?
That's bad. He lost it on the exit of 130R.
And we have another safety
straight
car.
to the wall before Casio and another safety car. I wouldn't imagine anybody to pit at this point. The intermediates would still be basically brand new at this point. They've done like 2 racing laps.
I probably shouldn't have said that. It was going pretty well.
Commentator's curse. And he wasn't even in the top 3, that's not how it works. Commentator's curse is supposed to nail the podium.
Well, at least Luke Mills now has one free position, P4. Now he only has Mio to overtake for a podium place. So let's see what he can do.
It's definitely one gain, but after his frankly very poor start, he's got 3 more to gain up.
I guess we'll...
Plus, he's actually gained 4 positions into 10.
Amio and Mantos...
in qualifying.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but Amio and Mantos almost touched before the 90-degree corner. I think Mantos was going a bit too slowly, and Amio had to go on the grass to not touch him. So drivers have to be really careful in the safety car, but because if you don't know, guys, if you touch anyone during the safety car, you will get a 5-second grid penalty, which if you go into the pit lane, you cannot remove. So they really have to be careful if they don't want to get that, because that will only be bad for yourself.
It does remove it. It does serve the penalty in the pits.
It,
the only penalties it doesn't serve in the pits is corner cutting. It does serve 5-second penalties under the safety car.
It does.
Alex still has one sat there at the moment because he hasn't pitted. But whoever he collided with, who I can't remember at this point, I think Lassie has pitted and therefore doesn't have the penalty anymore. But obviously you then need to sit there for 5 seconds, which if you're all diving in for softs, if you're not going to pit until it becomes dry conditions, if you're diving in for softs or mediums, you're going to drop positions when you're all on equal tyres, which is, as a track like Suzuka that is difficult to overtake on, is just going to make it hard.
Of course. And if the drivers want to remove those 5 seconds later with reporting the collision, but if they have spent that time in the pit lane already, they will not be able to remove those 5 seconds. I at least think so.
Yeah. So as an ERO rule, which makes sense because there's no way to sort of say it would have had exactly this much impact. Any penalty that you serve within the race, within your pit stop, cannot be removed by the stewards afterwards. You have a 5-second penalty on you at the end of the race, and we've got contact between Jamie and Camille going through the S's.
That is
but Bert Maylander does seem to drive quite slowly this year, so I would imagine we'll see a few more impacts on the safety car this season.
I guess we'll have to wait.
any penalty you have served within the race will not be removed by the stewards because there's no way to say exactly how much of an impact it caused. If you served your 5-second penalty and then got stuck behind a slower car on slower tyres or something like that, well, how much of an impact did it actually have on your race? Was it 5 seconds? Was it like 10? Was it like 15? How much are they going to knock off? So any penalty you serve, that's it. It's done. So once you serve it, it's set in stone. You cannot then remove that. You can remove penalties that are unserved, and if you are forced off the track, which then gives you a corner cutting penalty, you can have that removed by the stewards afterwards. And they can also impose penalties that the game doesn't impose. They give you a warning for a collision, but the collision was quite serious and sort of ruined somebody else's race. The stewards can remove that if they see fit to do so.
And Camilla is driving a bit dangerously for the last 2 sectors. Really close to Apflinger, so he will probably get another 5-second penalty. Oh, we have a crash in front, or someone going really slowly. I think I saw damage on the grass, but
safety
I'm not sure.
Safety car is in this lap, so Levi has another safety car restart to orchestrate. But he's staying very close to the safety car. Mantos is leaving quite a gap.
That is really
Levi's
interesting.
Back it off now.
He's not backing out of the safety car.
Or not.
He's.
I know Levi's not feeling very well at the moment, but I think it might be affecting his brain. Follow Bird, it'll be fine.
But he is slowing down right now, and
he goes just at the start line again.
And we have green flags, and let's see. We have.
Dragos gets a great launch, makes up 2 places before turn 1.
But Shotsuhoi goes really wide when trying to not touch Dragos, which was really close contact. And Michael and Luke Mills are going really close with each other. Michael is right on his gearbox like before in the previous.
Luke is definitely holding Michael and his Alpine up at this point.
Probably, yes. So I think that this will confirm that Luke has a dry setup because he's really slow in the S's. So I guess we'll have to see.
Seems to be lacking the rear downforce to be confident with the power.
Probably yes. And let's see anyone behind. We have no close battles in happening at the moment. Apflinger and Elliot. Elliot is trying to go around the inside of Apflinger, but that doesn't work. He was a bit too far behind from Apflinger to complete that move on the inside.
If he can stay close to Spoon, though, he could have the slipstream all the way up to 130R.
And if he gets a good exit as well. But the drivers are keeping it very cleanly, which is really nice to see.
They had to start at some point, in all fairness.
Camille really close to Elliot, going really wide and losing a lot of speed from that mistake from his Elliot going a bit too deep, and this will probably give Camille the opportunity to maybe try and make a move on Elliot on this start-finish straight. He is using ERS. I forgot to enable my telemetry, right. And he is looking to go around the outside, but he does back out of it. Elliot loses control on the first turn, but Camille is not confident
keep
enough.
it on the black stuff for now. As Levi and Martin Barlow Mantos start to build a gap at the front. They are dropping Rajpald and the rest of the field.
Matas goes on the sand for a little bit. He probably wants to make some sandcastles. He's probably bored at the moment, as he's not catching up to
It's not really
Levi.
the weather for a beach holiday.
Well, maybe not. I'm not sure. We have a yellow flag in Sector 2. It's Daryl and Applinger. Applinger sideways. What corner is that?
That is the hairpin. If it has a name, I don't know it. Who seems to have lost it there. Whether there was contact, I'm not sure. I wasn't on board with them at the time.
I'm not sure as well. That's really
unfortunate. Started to
unfortunate.
filter through 130R. He's just going round Spoon now. And yeah, he's missing the end plate on his right front wing, which in these conditions is going to be a serious detriment to his pace.
Oh,
Levi
Levi
sets a new fastest lap.
on 9-lap-old intermediates. That's pretty impressive, if I say so myself. But to be honest, they didn't have any chance to do a fast lap, so that was
Well,
pretty
not particularly. That's about the third flying lap that they've had.
good.
So Jamie's going to pit for a new front wing and new intermediates. It's nowhere close to dry tyres.
Yeah.
And he
And
serves his 5-second penalty while he's here as well.
And it doesn't
Which,
look to be
if there's
trying.
another safety car, it's good
Oh!
to get rid of that.
Elliot in the sand, where
And
he
he's lost all of his front wing.
crashed
There's a
in
lot of
qualifying.
time here getting back.
Probably. And if I remember correctly, he was the one that crashed in that same corner. And we do have another spin with Lasse Rasmussen. Safety car is out, and he doesn't have
Again.
any front wing.
So I think in terms of getting the award for the most laps led, I'm fairly sure that's gonna go to Burt Mainlander.
What is Lasse doing? He was trying to overtake Camille around the outside of the hairpin when the safety car was
I think
on.
he just can't turn the car at the moment with no front wing. With no front wing in wet conditions, it's like turning a boat. As you see, it's about half a mile wide at Spoon because the cars are
Probably.
undrivable with no front wing, especially in wet. Even in the dry, they're very difficult. So it would be interesting to see, though, if anybody chooses to pit for new intermediates. How long, although the rain has stopped,
Oh, Levi.
is anyone going to risk drives?
Levi, Mantos, Amio, Luke
Top
Mills.
3 all pit, top 5 all pit.
Shotzahoy doesn't pit.
David Hoy carries on and will pick up the safety car.
Raphael, Alex. They're all pitting for new intermediates. An interesting decision. Everyone is
Very.
going into pit lane. Everyone. Except for Michael and Daryl Ahoy. Oh wait,
Daryl's in.
I said that wrong.
Raphael's managed to jump 2 positions in the pits, which is impressive work from the Mercedes crew.
It is.
But currently, yeah, just Daryl and Michael haven't pit. And Camille's managed to, and Camille. And who's now made his way up to 3rd after starting last.
And that's
Which is-
really impressive, to be
Which
honest.
is the sort of stuff that can happen with 3 safety cars in 11 laps.
We have a drive-through with Dragos. So I wonder how that happened.
That will be speeding in the pit lane.
Speeding.
Oh, no, wait, that's a 5-second penalty. That will be speeding on the safety car. So he's gone under his delta and not got it back within the 15-second grace period.
That is pretty unfortunate.
He's probably pushed for the pits out of 130R and not quite got there in time.
Maybe.
So he's pinged him with the penalty.
Let's see the positions change at the moment, as we have our 3rd safety car coming out. Camille having the most positions gained, 13 positions, so he started last and he's P3. But he does have a penalty which will probably affect him by a lot, as he will lose quite a few positions after the safety car.
It is a 5-second penalty though, so we'll get served at a pit stop.
It is.
Which they'll all have to make if the track's going to dry out. So possibly they can make that under yet another safety car or a VSC, in which case it's going to be significantly less impactful. I think Camo will be hoping for a safety car because with how close the field's been so far, a 5-second penalty could drop him 3 or 4 places.
If I was Camille, I would probably go into the pit lane as everyone did and serve that 5-second penalty, so I don't have to mind it anymore. And if you're doing that under the safety car, that's even better, because you don't lose that much time when you're pitting. If you're pitting when it's not a safety car. So if there is a safety car, it's usually the best option to go for free tires, because you're not gonna lose a lot of time. And there is no guarantee if the safety car will come out again, which in Suzuka it probably will. But I guess we'll have to see.
I am a betting man, and I wouldn't put money that it was not going to come out again. Although it's possible as well that he's just playing the team game, and he's going to try and back the guys up away from Michael to allow at least one Alpine on the podium.
Yeah, but still, both of them have to go into the pit lane, so that's really interesting team decision, if it is one, of course.
Camel can give Michael a gap of sort of 4 or 5 seconds to Levi. With the difficulties of overtaking at Suzuka, it's very possible that Michael will be able to hold him off till the end of the race. I mean, there's only 15 laps left, and the rain, it's still raining in certain parts of the circuit, especially at 130R, the rain still seems reasonable. But everywhere else, it's either stopped or basically stopped.
But
so the track's going to dry out fairly quickly now.
Probably in around 5 or 6 laps, maybe. But it does look...
Which is exactly that crossover I was talking about, where trying to do 10 laps on softs is doable, but you're very slow at the end.
It's really hard.
So if someone could fit mediums and be in front of you, if they can hold you off for those 3 or 4 laps where the rubber's good on the softs, then they will just drive away from you at that point.
I think it's better to play it safe than to risk everything with softs. As you said, the tire wear is pretty bad on this track. So
safety car in this lap. So
course.
Now David has to do a safety car restart. Let's see if he can handle it like Levi has.
Let's see.
Or will Michael get? Or will one or both Alpines manage to make a move into turn 1?
And he's close to the safety car as Levy was as well.
It seems the drivers are not favouring the whole backing off before Casio strat, and are instead waiting until basically the start line to go.
Oh, that was pretty dangerous from Shots
As he
Ahoy.
goes, and Mantos manages to jump Levi, but they're going to be side by side into turn 1. No, Mantos uses more ERS, gets in front.
It looks like everyone is passing. Oh, scratch that! Raphael is sideways into turn 1.
Oh no! I drive for Mercedes, that's bad!
Well, no carnage at the moment. Levy is still behind Mantos, but Mantos had a really good exit out of the exit of the sector 1, and he managed to get a gap of 2 seconds from Levy, so that's pretty good for him.
Big. Raphael doesn't have damage, and we have seen Camille go from last to 3rd, so the race isn't over yet for the Mercedes driver.
And
on his own, of course, so he's not going to get held up in the pits either. He can pit whenever he wants.
And Dragos, I think, has damage as Daryl is sideways in the hairpin. That's really unfortunate.
I wasn't expecting the hairpin to be a point of contention.
Same, actually.
Seems to be.
Everyone wants to make a dive.
I was much more expecting it to be the S's particularly, but sort of all of Sector 1. and Spoon, but it seems the hairpin's being a problem today. Maybe that's just a wet thing.
We have a battle with Raphael and Elliot. Raphael pretty close to Elliot, and Elliot is getting to Lassie Rasmussen pretty quickly. Let's see if he can make a dive bomb. He breaks really early, but he does have lost connection as Raphael hits him in the gearbox. Lassie Rasmussen goes into the pit lane, probably front wing damage. And Luke Mills and Dragos are fighting in turn 1, and they're going sideways still. And let's see, Dragos, and they're still side by side.
They're still side by side into the S's. That's gonna end in tears. Dragos backs out, decides to live to fight another day.
Jesus Christ.
that could have been carnage.
And that was pretty brave from Luke Mills, as Amio has a pretty bad exit, and Luke Mills is trying to go around the outside, but Amio doesn't leave any space for him.
Can't overtake into the first egg, no. But he tried it.
He tried, but Amio didn't leave any space for him. So
if he gets a good exit out of the hairpin, he could get a good run all the way through 200R into Spoon.
Levy and Camille are also having a quite a battle. 210 is separating them. Levy, if he can get a pretty good exit off of this corners, of the Spoon corner, he has the whole straight to pass Camille, which also has a penalty and older tires. Let's see, Levy is using all of his ERS, and Camille went on the grass a little bit, so he's gonna be a bit
Michael's got
slower.
Mantos for second place out of the exit of Spoon as well.
And
managed to
Camille,
hold it through 130R and into Casio.
This is really close with
Camille is
Camille
driving
and Levy.
the widest Alpine in the world right now.
And
Fernando
he was
Alonso
defending.
will be proud.
He would be proud, and he was the defending quite the 30, if I say so myself. He went on the inside line when Levy wanted to go on the inside line, and they touched a little bit.
There's Dragos pits.
Dragos in the pit lane.
Whoa, hang on. Where's tyres? No, he's on intermediates, never mind. They looked white from a distance. No, he's on a new set of intermediates. I thought he'd gone on to hard tyres. Carry on.
It does look like it's not raining anymore. There are a few droplets. What do you think?
Well, the new weather model in 2021 allows it to be raining in separate parts of the track. 2020 it very much just sort of rained everywhere or nowhere. So it kind of depends where it stops and where it's still raining. If it's still raining at places like
Levy run the inside.
Camille runs wide and Levi dives inside the hairpin.
That was
if it's
pretty
raining,
good.
If it's raining at the parts of the track where you need the grip, places like Spoon, you're gonna want to stay on the intermediates. So
Shots
if it dries out at other places, then if it dries out at places where you're basically flat, that kind of doesn't do anything. Camel's very slow now on these old intermediates. They're very worn, even with just 12 laps, and at least half of those behind the safety car.
Camille is having a pretty bad race, probably because of those 12-lap-old intermediates. Everyone wants to get past them really quickly, so they didn't lose a lot of time behind them. But Amio, let's see, he's trying to go make a move on Camille, but he's way too far behind. Camille is probably using his ERS as well. As Camille runs a bit wide, maybe Amio will have an opportunity, but he doesn't.
Yeah, of course, no DRS when you're on intermediate tyres, so good ERS deployment, especially at a circuit like Suzuka where there's maybe 2 or 3 decent overtaking opportunities, is going to let you hold the much faster car behind you quite well.
And Dragos went around the
Dragos
inside
makes a move into turn 1
of Elliot. Pretty impressive.
You're going to be ballsy to make a move on turn 1. You also need quite a compliant other driver. It's very easy for them to just, if you're trying to go around the inside, to just squeeze you, or if you're trying to go around the outside, to just very gently nudge you into the gravel.
Oh, Amio and Camille touch, and that's a big hit from Amio, and Amio and Michael have hit each other. Michael has 5-second grid, 5-second place penalty. I'm
A 5-second penalty. Yeah, I think Michael lost that all on his own. I don't think he was near anyone else.
probably yes, but
It just caused a roadblock, which, with the how the corner is, with it being the exit being totally blind until you're basically exiting the corner. As we have a VSC as well, so if it has stopped raining, we might see some of the guys lower down the order make a ballsy move and dive in for dry tires.
to be honest, it doesn't look like it, but I think in 2 laps time we might have a dry race.
I mean, it's dry-ish. I wouldn't
I
do
mean-
it, but it's dry-ish.
Um,
It's not raining anymore. It's not going to get any wetter.
I mean, it might
Michael
not be
pits,
raining.
but I assume he has damage.
It might not be raining, but it's still wet on track. So I think they.
Yeah, Amio
I
pits
think-
for new inters.
I think they should wait for a bit,
Yeah,
like
probably.
like 1 or 2 more laps.
If you're running-
it dries out.
But if you're like Lassie or Darrell and you're 13th or 14th, you don't really have anything to lose. Whereas you could have everything to gain.
I mean, you have to lose like 20 seconds if it is wet enough still. So they would be really slow. As we have green flags, we are resuming the race. We have a question from Javier. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Has the race been a mess so far? Does 3 safety cars and 1 VSC explain anything?
Yeah, somehow we only have 2 retirements, which I'm not entirely sure how that's happened. But yeah, we've had 3 safety cars and a VSC in 17 laps. I believe one of the safety cars actually began as a VSC and got upgraded as well. So can we count those 2 VSCs?
Probably.
But
Yes.
either way, it's been Suzuka, which is chaos anyway with the curbs this year. Plus it's wet, which just makes it a wet race anywhere is bad because it's so easy to just totally lose grip. As David Hoy still leads, but Mantos has closed up now to within 7 tenths.
He has. He is 5 tenths behind him, and he's using his ERS, so he wants to get even closer. But Shotsahoy is also
David's using his
ERS.
as well to defend,
Yeah.
but David hasn't pitted yet. He's on 17 lap old intermediate, so his tyres must be screaming.
He must be like on 50 or 60% lap old inters, so he's nearly in the puncture zone. But you can probably make those inters go until the end if he can conserve a little bit. But he's not losing that much time in the first sector, so that's pretty impressive with 11 lap older inters than Mantos. So I would
He's
say
probably holding Mantos up quite a lot. Jamie gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. He's probably holding the second one. He's probably holding Mantos up quite a lot in the S section. I think it might be quite telling to see what the gap to Levi is, who's also on 6 lap old intermediate, so 11 lap newer tyres.
Levi
He
and
does
Mantos.
seem to be closing the gaps at the top 2.
I'm sorry. Levi and Mantos are the only ones that have a set lap time of 1:39. So everyone else is in the 40s of the time, as Shotsahoy has extended his gap to Mantos. So that's pretty. Still, it's pretty impressive how he's keeping up with this.
He's definitely managing those tyres well.
And
To be able to get sort of the traction out of Spoonie, obviously got in order to get a drive like that.
and that gives
Camel
Levi.
gets another penalty.
Oh, and Luke Mills is going to run the inside of Camille. They're going side by side into the straight. They're both using ERS. Let's see if Luke Mills will be confident. But that was a touch on the rear right tire. I don't know.
Both making through turn 1, but there was definitely contact there.
There was, and Camille is taking really weird lines in the S's. So, but he still
He
remains
also
before.
hasn't pit, so, well, apart from when he pit really early because he had damage, so it's possible his tyres are kind of dying at the same time.
And I don't know if that's me, but he is losing a lot of control on those tires. He looks like he's spinning everywhere. And Luke Mills was trying to go around the outside, but he wasn't close enough. And they touch a little bit. And Camille runs
Little
wide.
tap, and it runs Camille wide, whether the tap was at fault for
And
that.
Raphael
shot.
retires, and Raphael retires.
Binned it on a straight. And we have another safety car. Yeah, see, Burt Maylander's going to win the award for the most laps led. I'm telling you.
This is actually maybe good for everyone because as I'm seeing it, it seriously stopped raining. So we might have some drivers go to try tires, maybe softs or mediums.
Yeah, it would be ballsy, but like Darrell is almost a lap down at this point. He's a full minute behind, so it would probably be worth Darrell picking for softs or dry tires at any rate, because he has absolutely nothing to lose.
I guess we'll have
Running
to
13th
see.
place and a minute behind the car in front, like, he's not going to catch that gap. And a drive-through for
Amio.
for Amio for speeding on the safety car.
To be honest, we do have carnage, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be.
It's controlled carnage. It's like
con-
it's people causing carnage on their own.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm bored of this race. Let's make a storm in a teacup.
Let's.
It's not full pile-ups, which I was kind of expecting. Whoa!
What happened?
Amio loses it.
Oh,
His own.
and DNFs.
The exit of turn 2 into the wall.
I shouldn't be
dear.
laughing, but that was unexpected.
And the safety car as well.
Under safety car and on his own. That's
That's an oof moment. If there was ever an oof moment, that's an oof moment.
And I think that this safety car actually benefits Darrell, as he is really far behind of everyone.
He's definitely catching everyone. Like I think this would be an opportunity. Whether he's brave enough to try it, I think it would definitely be an opportunity for him to try and put the dry tyres on, especially since nobody else has. Because if it goes badly and he has to pit again for like intermediates, he's still going to be last. But if it goes well, just after a safety car, if like as the safety car comes in, Jeff starts talking to everyone and saying, it's probably time for dries, Darrell could end up with a really good finishing position. He like points definitely, and maybe even on the podium, just from making that strategy call.
And we do have a dry line starting to show up as well. So soon, I think everyone might go for dry tires.
We get at least one more lap behind the safety car.
Probably, but if Darrell doesn't catch up to these guys, then we'll get another lap. But at least now all of the drivers have an opportunity to think about pitting. It is a big risk. You can lose a lot of positions if you don't make the right decision. But I did see some sun thingies.
Beams. I think the only person it's worth the risk for is Darrell. With
Probably.
like 12 runners and 11 of them very close together, I think it would be very easy for Lassie to sort of say, well, all I need is one guy to bin it and I've got a point. Whereas if I put soft tyres on and I bin it, I get nothing. But with Darrell, it's a case of he was already a minute behind. So if he pits and puts the dry tyres on, if he thinks he can deal with it, obviously it's not going to be easy. It could be a massive benefit, and it can't get worse than being a minute behind.
Probably. I guess we'll have to wait and see what everyone chooses in the race. We have 6 laps remaining, and the grid is as follows. We have Shots Ahoy, or I think David, you said. David
Yes.
Ahoy leading in P1, Matt and Mantos right behind him. Levy P3, Luke Mills in P4, Camille in P5, but he still has a penalty, so we'll have to wait and see where he ends up. We have Dragos P6, Alex, Elliot, Apflinger, Michael, Lassie, and Daryl is last of the running drivers, but we do have 4 retirements at the moment in the race, which is pretty unfortunate, but that's what everyone was probably expecting from today's race. Let's see the fastest lap time at the moment. Levy with a 139.1, 7 tenths faster than Mantos, who is the second guy that put up fastest lap. So that's pretty good for him. The safety car is in this lap. And penalties. 3 seconds for Shots Ahoy and Lasse Rasmussen. We have 9 seconds for Apflinger and Camille 8 seconds. So, pretty okay at the moment, if I say so myself. But yeah, we have 6 laps, so let's see if everything will get away cleanly. As we do have a green flag, looks like everyone has been separated a little bit and no one is going for any moves. Mantos, Levy and Shotsahoy are pretty close with each other going into the S's, but Levy has backed out from that battle. Luke Mills getting pretty close to them as well. Camille really close to Luke Mills, getting pretty interesting lines as he is on 19 lap pulled intermediates, so he's gonna have
David
to conserve that.
Hasn't pitted yet. His are 21 laps old. But looking at his telemetry, he still doesn't have a tyre warning light. We've done so many laps behind Bert Maylander that his tyres are like, yeah, this is fine, whatever. Could he possibly do a zero-stop strategy and win the race? Depending on how fast it dries up.
Probably not to win, because he does have a penalty. But he may end up in P4 maybe, or maybe in P3. We have a crash with Dragos and Lasse! And Camille actually. What happened there? Jesus Christ.
But we are out of safety cars, so the race will carry on. The cap is 4, we have had them. We are out of safety cars.
Wait. That exists?
Yes. Safety cars set to standard as they are in ERO. The limit on safety cars is 4.
Seriously?
For anything for a 50% or 100% race, the limit on safety cars is 4. We've already had them, so tough. You're now just racing, boys.
No, it's just carnage and racing, as Elliot and Lasse are going side by side into turn 1, and Lasse has the inside line. Let's see if he can make that move stick. Elliot is still going, but Lasse pushes him
wide. Elliot comes back and does the undercut. Beautiful move to keep his position.
And that was pretty dangerous, if I say so myself. Lasse probably broke a bit too late and didn't leave any space for Elliot, but he still manages to overtake on 3 lap older tires than Lasse. So that was pretty good. And we have
Elliot was already in front, I believe.
We have a big battle between the leaders. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but we have a big battle with our leaders. You can
Top 4 have built a big gap and are within a second coming out of the hairpin into 200R. David, obviously on the oldest tyres here, is going to have to defend for his life.
Let's see
his
if he
tyres
can
are
manage
twice as old as the guys behind him.
Let's see if he can manage it until the end. He does have P4 in the bag, so let's see if he can keep that up, and let's see if he doesn't crash. Let's hope. As Levy and Mantos touch a little bit, Levy goes round the inside and then round the outside, and has Mantos spins.
It's off.
Mantos spins in the wall, and Camille is left the session, but Mantos has some front wing damage, which is pretty unfortunate.
He has front wing damage, but all the wheels are still attached and pointing the right way.
But he does go into the pit
now
lane.
last. However, there are only 10 runners, so you finish, you get points, boys. Just finish, you get points. Fine.
He may go on dry tires as well. He doesn't, so it's not dry enough, which is really weird.
I mean, it'd definitely be a risk, but if you're last with 3 laps left and you've just had to make a pit stop, you'd risk it, right?
I don't know.
I'd risk it. I'd win it on turn 2, but I risk it.
Okay, I'm gonna see you tomorrow then, if you will risk it.
Yeah, you'll see
I'll
me
see
when you
you.
drive past me under safety car. I'll be in a wall.
I'm just
As
hoping
Lassie,
for a safe
Jamin,
race.
and Michael are all fighting down in basically like this third group now. The field's split quite quickly into sort of 3 main groups. The guys at the top are all still extremely close together, all still covered by a second. David, Levi, and Luke all at the front.
So,
Levi
now...
and Luke were very fast at Bahrain, but neither of them won. Are they going to get the same fate here as well as Suzuka? Is this just going to be like a random thing? They're always going to finish second and third, and somebody different's going to win every week?
Maybe. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Shots Ahoy goes really defensive on the final chicane. And Levy will want to get past him, but he is nowhere close. Let's see. And Luke Mills is also getting really close to both Shots Ahoy and Levy. And Levy is on the gearbox of Shots Ahoy, but he doesn't have any opportunities to try and make a move for P1.
Just this lap and 2 more left. We'll have to see if the drivers decide to get aggressive or just bank the points in what has been a crazy race and take them to China next week.
I think China will be a bit more safe.
Unless it's wet.
Unless it's wet, but there is a lot of runoff area, so it's not as dangerous as this track, and there are probably no autospin curbs, but I don't know.
For most of the lap, I would definitely agree with you. China's a lot safer than Suzuka. However, China turn 1 in the wet is carnage.
Not good.
Absolutely abysmal. It's like a 270-degree corner. Somebody's going to end up in a barrier racing backwards with all 4 wheels piled up nicely on top of the halo.
Probably. Now that you have watched this race, Shots Ahoy and Levy. Levy trying to go around the outside of Shots Ahoy. Let's see if he can make the opportunity.
He's gonna make that stick.
He does.
He is,
and
Luke
Luke
gets through
Mills
as well.
That's really good from
That's an
Luke.
opportunist move right there.
Oh, but Luke Mills probably got
But
the illegal overtake.
Taken off track, I guess.
Probably. Really unfortunate from Luke. But
He needs to get David quickly if he wants to fight Levi.
yeah,
David's tyres will be screaming at 25 laps old. He's not going to pit. He's going to do a 0-stop strategy.
but really impressive from David right here.
Luke's getting a bit squirrely out too, as well.
So now that
Hold it through the essence.
now that you have watched and commentated with me today, do you feel any more confident for tomorrow?
Based on what I know of PC1 and its standard look and what it tends to turn into, I already know I'm slower than a lot of the field. That's fine. I sort of live on strategy and tyre management. But we will 100% have like a bone dry qualifying, and it'll be like, it's going to be a dry race, and then we'll zone into the race and it'll be literally a monsoon. The track will be 4 foot deep of water. We'll all be like paddling the cars. It'll just something crazy will go like that, or there'll be like a 17-car pile up in turn 1, and I'll win.
Probably.
It'll be one of those two things.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. I hope we do have a commentator for PC1 because I think it's going to be pretty interesting.
I'm not sure it can be quite like this. I hope it's not like this. I can't deal with 4 safety cars in my life.
Probably.
Luke's gonna get a run into turn 1 here. He's gonna hold it down the inside.
Oh.
Breathe in.
And Shots Ahoy lets him.
Stick. David's old tyres now really starting to cost him. And Alex is coming at some speed with 20 lap younger tyres. How often are you going to say that this season?
If Shots Ahoy wants to stay in P3 on the podium, he needs to get 9/10 off of Alex. but that's gonna be pretty difficult
Find that difficult.
on 20.
In a dry race, he could stick within a second of Luke and hopefully use the DRS to do that, but the 9/10 in a lap isn't going to happen. Although, if he doesn't bin it or lose a bucket of time, he's guaranteed 4th, which is crazy,
That's
considering
really
he hasn't pitted. His pit crew's forgotten what he looks like.
Probably. But one thing is certain. Alfa Romeo will get pretty good points today, in P5 and P3 respectively for both drivers.
Well, it'll be 4th and 5th after penalties, but that's still really good.
Okay, I'm
Considering the cars in front will be 1 Red Bull, 1 Aston Martin, and 1 Alpine, they're probably going to come away from here with the most points for a constructor. Possibly Red Bull with their second car running in 6th as well with Jamie.
Probably.
Although he does have penalties, so that might change that. Yeah, he has 9 seconds of penalties, and he's currently 2/100ths of a second ahead of Lassie after penalties are applied. As Levi does win the race.
And Luke Mills follows him right behind.
Chaotic carnage race, and Luke second by just 1 second. Alex does jump David Hoy by 9/10. Elliot finishes 5th, and Lassie and Jamie both drop 2 spots down to 8th and 9th because of their penalties, as Michael finishes 6th in the Alpine, with Darrell making it up to 7th in the McLaren after being a minute behind at the last safety car.
That's really good luck from him, and there we go.
That's when Burt Maylander drives for McLaren.
I don't know.
Alex James gets driver of the day for pretty good performance, managing to finish on the podium.
Who would you give the driver of the day?
I mean, honestly, I would give it to David Hoy. He didn't pit. He wasn't losing like huge amounts of time despite having 27 lap-old tyres. And without the penalty, he would have got on the podium. After not a great qualifying, I'm sure he'll agree with. And especially considering, if you sort of look at qualifying times for here and for Bahrain, Levi, Luke, and Owen, who isn't racing today, are streets ahead of most of the field in terms of pace. They probably should be in PC1.
Probably.
So I definitely would say David Hoy, for me, was my driver of the day. Neither Alfa Romeo pit. I think they sent their pit crew home.
Maybe they did.
They're on strike. So they wanted to pit, but they couldn't because the Alfa Romeo pit crew is on strike. That explains it now.
Maybe. That is a good reason. But yeah, we have Levy in P1 winning today's race. Congratulations from a good drive. I think he started P3 or maybe P2, and he got in P1. Really good race from him. And David Ahoy said that the pit crew has been cancelled and that they were budget cuts.
Oh, that explains it. You're clearly paying them far too much then.
Maybe.
I mean, they're basically useless, right? At this point, just do a 0 stop every race. Like, you won't need them. It's fine.
Yeah, but you cannot do that in the try. So, so yeah. This has been the Japanese Grand Prix in Suzuka. I hope that you have enjoyed as much as me and Adam did. I actually hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you enjoyed. Did you?
If our race is like that tomorrow, I'm gonna have PTSD.
well, I hope you don't. Anyways, I hope everyone has a nice evening. If you want to race in this league, I didn't leave the Discord link, so you cannot join. I'm sorry. If you
We'll
look up for Ero, yeah.
That's something.
Probably later, but yeah. I hope that you enjoyed, and have a good night or day, and stay safe out there as well. See you next time in China.
You won't see me because I'm on holiday.
That's a shame.
You will see Dino.
That's a shame.